Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a flyover of EpicKC Disc Golf Course located in Independence, Missouri. This is on the grounds of the church EpicKC. The course has 18 holes, all are par 3. All the even holes have a white longer basket. From the whites, it's a little over 4,000 feet. If you're playing the shorts, you're looking at 3,300 feet. As we fly through here, you'll notice the baskets and their location. Please note that all of the roads and the parking lots are considered out of bounds. The course has a pretty good mix between open holes and wooded holes, which we'll see here in a second. The open holes, here you can see 6 and 8. Those are typically downhill, downwind in the summer. As we get closer to the wooded holes, they may be short, but they do have some difficulty. The course itself is probably rated at a low-level intermediate course. Most people can play this course with a putter and a mid-range. If you're trying to work on your game, a putter round is a perfect round out here. Mid-ranges in the woods would be a good option. Most of the holes in the woods have tight lines. We are trying to clear those lines and make them more accessible. Most of the wooded holes, we also are working on getting trees and stuff cut down and branches. As we fly along here, 15 is an uphill hole. That's a ping pong hole. A lot of small trees in your way. 18 is a really good finishing hole. It's a great forehand hole. So come along with us and we'll do a hole by hole summary and see what we can do. Thanks. Hole 1 is 158 feet. Off the tee, you have a low-hanging tree that you need to stay under. To the right is the church parking lot. Typical play on this hole is a putter or a mid-range. Another good option would be a forehand if you're a right-handed backhand player. Up here towards the basket, it's located in a grove of trees where the branches do come into play even if you're inside the circle. This is a good opening hole, fairly easy to get to, and should be a birdie hole for most people. Hole 2 is the first hole on the course where we see 2 baskets. All of the even holes on this course have 2 baskets. The red basket is 237 feet from the tee. The teeing area is pretty open. On the right-hand side, you do have some trees to worry about. The main feature of this hole is the parking lot to the right, which is considered out of bounds. The basket, as we fly up to it, is under one of those trees, so limbs do come into play on your putt. You'll notice to the left is a fenced-in area. That area is considered a bunker. So if your disc lands in that area, you play it where it lies and you take a 1-stroke penalty. As we fly over to the white basket, it's on the other side of the fenced area, sitting at 293 feet. A good play to get to this basket is a strong forehand with a fairway. You can go to the right with another fairway, but you have trees in the way. This is a good challenging hole for accuracy. Hole 3 sits at 225 feet. This is a wide open hole with parking lots on both left and right that can come into play. This is a very good putter, mid-range hole. You could test out your forehand as there's no obstacles. The only issue could be wind, depending on if it's a crosswind or a headwind, but this is another get hole. Hole 4, red basket, it sits at 193 feet. At the time of this flyby, the trees presented a problem as you had to throw around the trees, but now the trees have been trimmed up enough so that you could throw straight at it with a putter or a straight flying mid-range. One of the issues on this hole is the parking lot to the left, which is out of bounds. Another issue could be if you have a wayward tee shot that finds the fenced in area behind 3T 2 basket. Otherwise, this is a very gettable basket at the red spot. As we fly over to the white basket, it sits at 292 feet. This would be a good longer mid-range, shorter fairway driver hole. You do have wind to contend with if it's coming in from the west. You also have that parking lot to the left. If you have a long tee shot, the road sits out of bounds and is about 30 to 40 feet past the basket. Hole 5 is one of the shorter holes on this course, but don't let that fool you. To the left is the road, which is considered out of bounds. Up by the basket, it does sit under a tree, and it also sits in a peninsula that is guarded by the road and the parking lot. Drives will find the parking lot very easily, so you need to be very accurate on this short, gettable hole. Hole 6 sits on the other side of the road in an open field. The red basket sits at 218 feet. Very straightforward hole, except in the summer when the winds come out of the south, so you'll have a headwind. On the right-hand side is the road, which will come into play. The white basket sits at 348 feet. One of the longer holes on the course, but very gettable if you avoid the road. Hole 7 goes back uphill, sitting at 259 feet. This could have crosswind possibilities or headwind possibilities. It is uphill considerably, so take that in consideration when you're picking your mid-range or fairway driver. Also, the road behind the basket is out of bounds, so that could potentially come into play. Hole 8, the red basket sits at 280 feet. Back downhill. On the left-hand side is a road which is out of bounds. Again, this is heading south, so you'll have headwinds in the summer. Very gettable hole in the red location. Watch out for the grove of trees behind the basket. White basket is the longest on the course at 286 feet. This could be a considerable drive. Again, watch out for the grove of trees. Hole 9 at 159 feet is one of the shorter holes on the open side of the course. The play here would be a spike hyzer or a forehand. The basket does sit directly behind a group of trees, so if your disc happens to find the trees, there are avenues where you could potentially run for the birdie or simply pitch out to save that par. Hole 10, yellow basket, is 169 feet. You tee off in a group of trees and need a hard hyzer shot to get back to the basket. The group of trees does run all down the left-hand side and is very thick, so if your disc lands in the group of trees, good luck. The white basket sits at 294 feet. Pretty open hole, except to the left-hand side. The basket sits in a cutout of a group of trees. Ideally, you want to land about right here where the drone is flying, and that gives you a good putt for your birdie. Hole 11 is at 194 feet. You tee off from a chute of trees, throwing over the wiffle ball fields. It's a fairly open hole. The basket does sit pretty close to a group of trees that your disc can find idea shot here would be a putter or a mid-range. Just be careful of the distance that you don't overthrow the basket. Hole 12 at 132 feet might seem easy, but off the tee you have a couple trees in your way, causing you to throw a large hyzer down to the basket. The basket sits across a drainage area and is guarded by two more mature trees that if your hyzer gets too high, it will block the disc. The white basket is a little tougher as it sits all the way back into another grove of trees. There is a tree in your way, as you can see here to the left. There's also a group of trees and bushes in the drainage area that your disc will find if you're not accurate. As we get closer to the hole, you'll see that the basket sits in a cleared out area, but the groove of trees is only 5 or 6 feet from the basket. 13 is 179 feet. The fairway does flow right to left. However, the bushes behind and beside create an alleyway that at times is no more than 10 or 15 feet wide. You could throw a spike hyzer over the bushes, but as you can see, the dense forest will capture your disc. There is a tree up by the basket, which will come into play on your putt. Hole 14's yellow basket is 171 feet. As you can see through the drone, there are multiple trees to avoid. There's also a drainage area with a group of trees to avoid. If you can throw over this group and land in the clearing, you do have a good look at birdie for the yellow basket. The white basket is a much harder basket, sitting at 232 feet. The ideal spot would be to land about here where the drone is, and then try to run your putt, although there are low limbs that you need to watch out for. 15 is 168 feet uphill. There are multiple trees to avoid, and they guard any line you have to the basket. The best idea to go into this hole is you are going to hit a tree. Hopefully, if you hit a tree, you can get up close enough to have a look at birdie without having an obstructed view. '16's yellow basket sits at only 81 feet and is by far the shortest hole, but it's not the easiest. It sits in a groove of bushes that will eat your disc very easily. The white basket sits behind this at 143 feet. The ideal play would be a forehand hyzer, but beware as it does sit in a grove and trees are all abound. 17 sits at 165 feet. There are a couple lines you can throw. You could do a anhyzer shot as the drone is flying right here, or you could do a spike hyzer that goes to the right hand side of that fir tree. The ideal landing spot is going to be up here just past this tree to the left, and that does give you a good look at birdie on this hole. The finishing hole on the course is 219 feet to the yellow basket. On the right hand side is the parking lot, which is out of bounds. The basket sits up and to the left inside a group of trees. The ideal play would be a putter or mid-range hyzer thrown out to the right. If you see this gas sign, play to the right of that, which gives you the best look at birdie. You could also throw past the basket, so that way you're putting back into the group of trees for your birdie. As we turn around, the white basket is 276 feet, and it sits in the group of trees next to the parking lot. Again, the parking lot is out of bounds. A good shot here is a forehand with a mid-range or fairway driver, and hopefully it skips up and under the basket for your birdie on the finishing hole.